It's Friday, and this is PupDates. So, first things first, I deeply apologise if any of you were traumatised by the thumbnail. Although, if RuPaul wants to give me a shout, then I think I'd make an alright drag queen, personally. So, if you weren't aware of what I was having a little crack out there, it was a reference to DLSS 5. For those of you who aren't aware what DLSS is, it's the super sampling that NVIDIA graphics cards have, where it basically utilizes a technology to improve textures and things like that in a very, very, very basic nutshell. The new version, they've just announced, version 5, will include a lot of AI features. So you might have seen a lot of memes floating around the internet of how ridiculous it makes things look. There was a screenshot that was released of Grace from Resident Evil 9, and they'd taken her from a kind of scared, timid FBI analyst to your standard blonde OnlyFans girl. So it's upset a lot of people. The NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, has come out and said that the gamers are wrong and that artists love it and studios love it. And the studios came out and said, absolutely no, we don't. So it's a very impressive technology in terms of what it could potentially do. However, these uses are ridiculous. I know AI is a very hot button topic at the moment anyway. I am someone who I do use it, but I'm also very aware of its limitations. I work in software, so imagine most people who also work in software will have dabbled with it at some point. What it seems like to me is, once again, they've been given a product and they're trying to sell it. And this is the way they're choosing to sell it. The backlash has been substantial. I believe it's got like 90% dislikes or something on the YouTube announcement. And there's just been this colossal backlash from both gamers and developers. So let's just take a little bit of consideration for how to effectively use new technologies rather than making games that look great, making them look ridiculous and almost turning them into a bit of a laughing stock. I did get a nice chuckle out of the many, many memes I saw, though. So thanks NVIDIA for the entertainment due to the backlash. So the Nintendo Switch 2 has had a massive update. It has actually removed the feature I used most, and that was the dust gathering feature that all Switches come with. So what they've done instead to mitigate the dust gathering feature is they've introduced a feature where on Switch 1 games, you can essentially play it in docked mode when it's in handheld mode. So you get 1080p, 60 FPS, whatever the performance boosts would have been on docked mode, you can now get them on handheld, which I feel like probably should have been an option from the start. But it's nice to see that Nintendo are considering stuff like this. They are, as much as I love their games and their consoles, they are a weird company and they make some interesting decisions. They're not even necessarily bad half the time. They're just bizarre. And that's why we love them. I think that's part of the element of why they're so popular. So that has been a great new addition. So being able to play games like Mario Odyssey as though you've got the full resolution of as it would be on a TV and it runs perfectly. Having that in the palm of your hands is fantastic, especially with that gorgeous Switch 2 screen. So I'm going to have to actually blow the dust off it and start using it again, especially as I also still need to get Pokopia, which I've heard, and it looks great. Next up, Android have announced their new advanced flow, which, for those of you who aren't aware, Android is currently in the process of alienating any Android users and power users by taking the Apple approach and adding the walled garden. So they're increasing security, they're preventing you from sideloading apps or installing APKs. To mitigate this, what they've done is there's an article from 9 to 5 Android that I'll post. It basically details the new advanced flow. So if you've seen my video on setting up Thor CPY, which is or Thor copy, I think it's pronounced, as for my capture software, basically you have to enable developer mode. So at the moment, to do that, you go into your settings on your device or your phone, you go to the about, and then you tap the device ID 7 times, I think. Keep tapping it, and then it says you're now a developer. So they're basically doing that. However, there is now a 24-hour delay, and you have to answer questions about, is someone forcing you to do this, or are you doing it of your own volition? And it's all a little bit handholdy. And I guarantee that the people who, as Android claims, to try and prevent scammers and mitigate fraud and things like that, the people who were going to fall for it, they're still going to fall for fraudsters and scammers. Like I've met people, you can't trust people, and it's just going to annoy developers. I don't know if it's something I'll have to reapply. For example, when I update the Thor, or if I get a new Android-based device, I'm not sure if it's something I'll have to reapply, even though it's already set to developer mode. There's still some backlash to this, although it seems to be slightly mitigated because it does still allow you to install APKs that you might have got from GitHub or something. However, it does feel like overall they are leaning towards that walled garden approach. So that's what Apple's for. And I say that as an iPhone user. When I use my iPhone, I just want a device that I can mess about with and works. Whereas when I use these Android devices, I want to get deep into the tinkering and I want to customize. And that's the appeal of Android. Like I've said previously, when I was at college and smartphones first started coming out, a lot of people started getting Androids and things. And they were saying, like, oh, yeah, you can customize it, not like Apple. Apple's like, you can't do anything. And it seems that as Apple kind of starts to slowly embrace, in the loosest possible terms, some element of side loading. I use Side Store for a Reddit app, but Android's kind of going the opposite direction. And it feels like, in this case, no one is going to be happy. You're sacrificing your USPs in favor of trying to broaden your audience, but instead you just end up annoying everyone. And finally, it is here, RetroAchievements. That is the Wii RetroAchievements. Apologies for the tortured pun that I put in the thumbnail. I was proud of it. So what I'll do is, you need to have the latest version of Dolphin. That is version 2603A. You need to make sure it's the A. Or if you have the nightly build, then that'll just be the most up-to-date version anyway. So I'll be doing a guide on how to set those up on your PC. They won't yet be in the Android fork, as I believe. And also, as someone who's tried to set up the Wii several times on the Thor and the Odin, it's much easier just to play on the PC. So I will advise investing in a Dolphin bar, which is a USB bar for your Wiimote. It does, however, only seem to work with the official Wiimote. So check eBay, check Vinted, whatever. Is Craigslist still a thing? Check whatever third-party sellers or wherever you can get an official Wiimote from, or maybe something second-hand. I ordered a third-party Wiimote, and it didn't work, although the Nunchuk did, which I suppose is a bit odd. But so yeah, if that is something you are planning to do, do make sure you only use the official Wiimote, or the one with the Wii Motion Plus inside it from the Wii U, which is what I use. That works perfectly. It's almost plug and play. I will be covering that in a video and demonstrating how it looks, and hopefully getting some achievements, because I'm eyeing up WarioWare Smooth Moves. I do believe as part of that, there is also a section for those that don't have motion controls. So if you'd rather just use a normal controller that you've mapped, there is that option available. I'm not sure how it's categorized. I think it's just on the website. There's like a specific list of achievement sets where they've allowed they don't need motion controls. So yeah, I'm so happy it's here. I'm hoping we have 3DS next. I really hope we do, and eventually I hope we get up to Xbox. Although the Xbox emulation has just started, so I'll be covering that as well. So that was it for another week in PupDates. If you like this video, I'd always appreciate a like and a subscribe. You can also join my brand new Discord, which I'm still trying to get my head around. So if you want to get involved and chat about all things kind of gaming or emulation, it's a very warm, welcoming community. So do feel free. The link will be in the description. And I will see you next time.